If you look at our handout on the back, you'll see we have a community committee that chooses these topics. But that committee did not choose this topic, actually. This topic, several people wrote into our office and called in after the incidents at Newton, and we decided to spontaneously to do it, and many people advised against it. They said it's too dangerous, it's too hot, you shouldn't have the public discussion. And so I just want to thank you all for coming from many different points of view and having this civil discussion, which I was confident we could have. But thank you all for being here and making that possible. A brief summary. Do public tragedies unduly influence public discussions about gun control? Events that happen should be reported, but not sensationalized. Yet sensationalized or not, mass shootings are issues of great magnitude, and it is unfortunate that it takes something like this to draw national attention. Media has moved us away from the question of whether this is an infringement of the Second Amendment and focused more on the issues of gun control and gun rights, which are distinct issues. After the Newton incident, there were shootings happening on a daily basis. These tragedies are not just the sensationalized media events. Increasingly, they are quotidian, and all discussion about them is warranted. Arizona's gun laws. Manufacturers should be required to have more accountability for who they are selling guns to. Some felt that Arizona laws should not allow people to take guns into bars. Others felt that maybe Arizona's laws are just right, because banning guns would probably lead them to be traded underground. The problem may not be so much with the laws, but with whether or not we have a culture that encourages us to use guns in an inappropriately violent way. Which guns? Many argued for the protection of Second Amendment rights, especially for the possession of handguns. There was disagreement about whether it is appropriate for ordinary people to have assault rifles. People defended this view on the basis of international threats and the ability of ordinary people to defend themselves against hostile governments. Others felt that ordinary people should not have assault weapons and that these are too powerful for citizens. In tension, although not directly opposed to one another, is the idea that the Second Amendment was put in place not for hunting, but for citizens to have the ability to defend themselves against the government. On the other hand, it was pointed out that the Supreme Court's ruling, and I paraphrase, is that no person has an unfettered right to carry any weapon for any purpose. It is not inconsistent with the Second Amendment to introduce some restrictions about who can have weapons and what they can be used for. Obama's executive actions. It's a sweeping list. Perhaps we need a shorter list, perhaps just one. Perhaps parents need to pay more attention to their children. Most of the people committing these crimes are young people. Does personal ownership of guns threaten or protect our security? Being able to fire a weapon and being trained to use it may actually increase the possibility for violence. Conclusion, who is doing this? We are talking about guns, but since we know that most people who commit these atrocities had mental illnesses, perhaps mental illness should be the focus of our discussion. The U.S. has, after all, a long history of discriminating against people with mental illness. While these are unforgettable tragedies, we should make a committed effort to improve things and be proud of our American citizenship, the progress we have made, and how we can improve. At the conclusion, the question was asked, would our founding fathers agree that people should have assault weapons in your home? Many answered yes. Many said no. In a democracy, we need accurate information to fairly consider competing positions, and usually there is merit in different positions. The issues are complex, and maybe in this issue and others like it, it's like everything else in life, we need to try to find a compromise and a shared path to walk on. Thank you very much for being here this evening and participating in the discussion.